So you're scrolling the Rockford Fosgate website, go to amplifiers and click on best. And of course you're going to scroll down and find out what's the most expensive amplifier they have. It is the T2500-1BDcp, $1,979. Yes, the Power Series are the top of the line for Rockford Fosgate. Always have been since way back in the day when they were first introduced. This particular line has been out for a while, since like 2011 with the CP models. And our brother Steve Meade has got 8 of these on 4 SMD 18. So he's got 1 amp per coil and does some serious damage here to phone books. I actually purchased this amplifier several years ago as a refurb from Sound of Tri-State and just got around to testing it. But you can see here as I open the box, everything looks brand new. It includes single Allen key, 4 mounting screws, and you get the manual, the BDCP manual. It looks really thick when you first get it, like it's going to have a lot of information, but it's only about 14 or so pages per language. So yeah, English is the first one there, and we'll get to the ratings here in a minute, but it has all the specifications that you need. And also it has the punch verification certificate. In this case, 3,487 watts at 1 ohm. This is a good one. I see a lot of them around 3,000 to 3,200. So good power for this one. So I was thinking that since I got a refurb, it didn't come with the bass knob, but if you look at the contents here, it says the amp, the manual, the hardware kit, and the Allen key. No bass remote?
Did you see the memo about this? Yeah.
Purchasing a $2,000 amplifier and you still have to buy a $40 generic bass knob. What is up with that? Here it is. The PEQ works with amplifiers 2007 or newer, and it's really just a bass knob with a cable. Doesn't have any clip lights, no additional functions, anything like that. It's just a bass knob. So let's get the amplifier out of the box. Again, as you can see here, it was shrink wrapped. It looked factory brand new when I got it, and the thing is still in pristine condition. But let's take it out and take a closer look. Now, the acrylic cover on this is super shiny, really, really nice looking, but it could scratch with just the thought of looking at it. As far as dimensions go, 21.9 inches on the length, 8.1 inches on the width, and 2.1 inches on the height. This is a monoblock amp, but it does have dual speaker outputs. It accepts 8 gauge, remote punch bass EQ there via the network terminal, has a BD sync, a punch EQ minimum to maximum. Input RCAs are Tiffany style. The infrasonic filter is a switch, off or on, and that's 12 dB at 28 Hertz. You also have the gain control, frequency adjustment for the low pass filter. The mode allows you to switch between single, master, and slave, phase 0 to 180, pass through RCAs left and right again, Tiffany style. Then we have the power, ground, and remote terminals. Power terminals are 1 aught. Remote terminal can accept probably up to 8 gauge or so. And on the left side on the top, you have the power, protect, and thermal LEDs. And of course, right above the Rockford Fosgate logo, you have these beautiful VU meters for output and battery. We'll show you here an example. They're blue and then they get yellow and red depending on how far they move over. As far as ratings go, 4 ohms 1500 watts, 2 ohms 2500, 1 ohm 2500, 2 ohms linked 5000 watts. If you've never seen the dyno test before, I will link to a video where you can see about the settings, how the amp is set up and all that, but I'm not going over that today. So let's try 4 ohms first on the dyno, rated 1500 watts, 14.4. Let's see what we get. Certified test 1% THD, 1624 watts at 13.87, so considerably less than the 14.4 volts, and we got the rated power plus more. Uncertified up to clipping, 1614 watts, 13.79, so again, met and exceeded the rated power. Dynamic sends a pulse tone into the amplifier. It gives us a little less here, which is odd to me. Rockford Fosgate amps usually have good dynamic power. We actually got a little less than rated, 1487 for that. Efficiency at 4 ohms, 76% is what we measured. Rockford says 81%, so we're not too far off. 2 ohms, the amp is rated 2500 watts at 14.4. Let's try it first with the voltage a little higher, 2806 at 14.6. So then we said, let's turn the voltage down just a little bit. try the AGM battery bank instead of the lithium bank and see what kind of power we get. And here let's run the test again, certified. You can see 2550 at 13.66. So it still exceeds the rated power at 1% THD at less than the advertised voltage. So uncertified test, 2795, 14.56 volts. Again, good power. And again, this amp has the constant power, and we'll talk about that a little more, but it's great to have equal power across 2 ohms and 1 ohm, or very close to equal. Dynamically, again, it's a little bit slacking, 2497, so a little bit less than rated power. And efficiency is dropping quickly, 70.3% at 2 ohms. Now the 1 ohm test is rated the same as 2 ohms, 2500 at 14.4. Certified test first. Check that out, 3581 right at 14.4. But let's turn that voltage down a little more. Some of you guys complaining, I ain't got that much voltage. All right, well, 3369 watts at 13.34. So again, easily exceeds its rated power at 1 volt less than it's rated at. Uncertified up to clipping, 3634 at 14.38, so great power there. Now dynamically at 1 ohm, I had issues. The amp actually went into protect. It did produce 4479, but it went in and out of protect when it did that. Rockford says these amps are not very efficient at 1 ohm, and they're right. I got 59% at 1 ohm, so you got to make sure you have the juice. As far as results go, you can see all the results here on the screen. I did run the 1.3 ohm test as well. You can see I got 3300 watts at 1% THD. So great power overall from this amp. Just kind of curious about those dynamic bursts. Now let's try out the amp with a subwoofer and see how it sounds, and also check the live power from the AMM1. Rockford won't recommend this, and neither do I, but I have the Massive Audio BOA 121 wired to 0.5 ohm. Let's try some feel the bass, see how much power we get. And just to clarify, I never recommend running this amp at a 0.5 ohm. It's just I could verify I was having over 1 ohm for the entire test. Now let's check out what's inside here. First off, we did a thermal test and wanted to see what kind of heat dissipation the amp had. And as Rockford explains, kind of the outside edge of this amplifier is where the majority of the heat sink is, and that's where most of the heat's going to be. And it wasn't hot enough to cook an egg or anything, but it got kind of hot, and it's really neat to see through that acrylic panel on the top. You can see the capacitors and how hot they are. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it apart so we could look at the internals and see all the heat inside before it cooled down. Make sure you get you one of these screwdrivers because it works perfect using the Torx bit here to get into the amp. You have to take 4 screws off the bottom, and then they're the long screws, and then the top panel will just pop off. And there's one connection here that goes to the VU meter, so you have to pop that off if you want, or you can just lay it down. But here's the internals of the Rockford T2500-1BDcp. These constant power amps are really cool. 1500 microfarad, 200 volts for the rails. There's 6 of those caps in here. And you can see, again, here's a shot of the internals. This is a bespoke design. Rockford Fosgate designed this, and you won't see any other amp that looks exactly like it. 330 microfarad, 63 volts for the input filtering. And check out the way they do this. This is so cool. They show the engineers and have their little avatars all over the guts of the amp on the circuit board. I think that's super cool. Kind of paying back, you know, those who've helped design, worked on the project, stuff like that. So I love that about the Rockford Fosgate amps. Wish everybody else did that as well. Now let's talk about the pros and cons, things I like, things I think could be better, or at least to be aware of. The good stuff, power output, no doubt. All connections are on one side, makes it easy to hook up in your car. Tiffany RCAs for inputs and outputs. It is linkable, so you can hook up 2 of these, get 5,000 watts or more. Constant power technology. Yeah, boy, you'll see that. You've already seen it with the Subwoofer Test, how much that helps. And of course, the VU meters, baby. Every amp needs them. Could be better. The efficiency is low. Sound quality was good, though, so you may just have to deal with it. Bass remote extra on a $2,000 amp, that is just that's not unacceptable, in my opinion. 10-plus-year-old design, and it's still that expensive. Yeah, I don't know about that either. $2,000, cha-ching! Get out your wallet, get out your credit card, and heat it up because you're going to need it. Yeah, it's really impressive overall. I did not understand why we had issues with the dynamic power. Rockford Fosgate amps typically give more dynamic power at all the ohm loads. In this case, we got less, and then 1 ohm it went into protect. I never had issues with the speakers. You saw the constant power work with the speakers hooked up. Performed very well. I purchased the amp, but again, that doesn't matter in my reviews as I give you an honest review every time. Until next time, Big D, I'm out of here. So the price of this amplifier recently changed from about $1,600 to almost $2,000 US, and got me thinking, you know, back in the day, the Rockford Fosgate Power 1000 was their kind of top of the line amplifier, and it retailed for $2,650 back then. That's $5,600 plus in today's money. Check the link in the video description. I'll show you this old video of this amplifier. And thanks for watching as always.
You know how them sound waves go?
Here we go, slow motion. Trying to lose my phone. What?